Sakshurmulitanyena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavarinyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Tvise Namaha. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Anjalila Chapter 9, The Deliverance of Gopinath Patanayaka. Verse 131. You have now demonstrated your love for your devotees, just as when you previously saved the 5 Pandavas from great danger. Gopinath Patanayaka, his head covered with the silken wrapper, fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and described in detail the king's mercy toward him. The king has excused me for the balance due, he said. He has reappointed me to my post by honoring me with this silken cloth and has doubled my salary. I was lifted upon the changa to be killed, but instead I was honored with this silken cloth. This is all your mercy. On the changa, I began meditating upon your lotus feet, and the power of that remembrance has yielded all these results. Struck with wonder by my affairs, the populace is glorifying the greatness of your mercy. However, my Lord, these are not the principal results of meditating upon your lotus feet. Material opulence is very flickering. Therefore, it is simply a glimpse of the result of your mercy. Your real mercy has been granted to Ramananda Roy and Vaninatha Rai, for you have detached them from all material opulence. I think that I have not been favored by such mercy. Kindly bestow upon me your pure mercy, so that I may also become renounced. I am no longer interested in material enjoyment. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if you all adopt the renounced order and lose interest in dealing with pounds, shilling and pence, who will take charge of maintaining your large family? Whether you are involved in material activities or become completely renounced, you 5 brothers are all my eternal servants, birth after birth. However, just obey one order of me. Do you spend any of the king's revenue? First you should pay the revenue due to the king, and then you may spend the balance for religious and fruitive activities. Don't spend a farthing for sinful activities, for which you will be the loser, both in this life and the next. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade them farewell. Thus the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was spoken of in the family of Bhavananda Roy. That mercy was clearly demonstrated, although it appeared to be something different. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them all and bade them farewell. Then all the devotees got up and left, loudly chanting the holy name of Hari. Seeing the extraordinary mercy the Lord granted to the family of Bhavananda Roy, everyone was struck with wonder. They could not understand the behavior of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, when all the devotees had requested the Lord to bestow his mercy upon Gopinath Patanayaka, the Lord had replied that he could do nothing. I have simply described the chastisement of Gopinath Patanayaka and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's indifference. Excuse me. But the deep meaning of this behavior is very difficult to understand. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave so much to Gopinath Patanayaka without directly making requests of either Kashi Mishra or the king. The intentions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are so deep that one can understand them only if he has completely faith in service to the lotus feet of the Lord. Whether or not one understands it, if one hears of this incident concerning the activities of Gopinath Patanayaka and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's causeless mercy upon him, certainly he will be promoted to the platform of ecstatic love for the Lord, and for him all dangers will be nullified. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Chapter 10. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts prasadam from his devotees. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is always pleased to accept anything given with faith and love by his devotees, and is always ready to bestow mercy upon them. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. The next year, all the devotees were very pleased to go to Jagannath Puri Nilachal to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaita Acharya Kusani led the party from Bengal. He was followed by Acharya Nat Ratna, Acharya Nidhi, Srivas Thakur, and other glorious devotees. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had ordered Lord Nityananda to stay in Bengal, but nevertheless, because of ecstatic love, Lord Nityananda also went to see him. Indeed, it is a symptom of real affection that one breaks the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not caring for the regulative principles to associate with him. During the Rasa dance, Krishna asked all the gopis to return home, but they neglected his order and stayed there for his association. If one carries out Krishna's order, Krishna is certainly pleased, but if one sometimes breaks his order due to ecstatic love, that gives him millions of times greater happiness. Vasudev Datta, Murari Gupta, Gangadas, Sriman Sena, Sriman Pandit, Akinchana, Krishnadas, Murari, Garuda Pandit, Buddhimanta Khan, Sanjaya Purushottama, Bhagavan Pandit, Suklambara Brahmachari, Nishingananda Brahmachari, and many others joined together to go to Jagannath Puri. It would be impossible to mention the names of them all. The inhabitants of Kulinagram and Kanda also came and joined. Shivananda Sen took the leadership and thus started taking care of them all. Raghava Pandit came with bags full of food prepared very nicely by his sister Damayanti. Damayanti made various varieties of unparalleled food, just suitable for Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to eat. The Lord ate it continually for 1 year. These are the names of some of the pickles and condiments in the bags of Raghava Pandit. Amra Kashandi, Ada Kashandi, Jala Kashandi, Nembu Ada, Amra Koli, Amshi, Amakanda, Tailamra, and Amasata. With great attention, Damayanti also made dried bitter vegetables into a powder. Do not neglect Sukuta, because it is a bitter preparation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derived more happiness from eating this Sukuta than from drinking Panchamrita, a preparation of milk, sugar, ghee, honey, and yogurt. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he attracts the purpose from everything. He accepted Damayanti's affection for him, and therefore he derived great pleasure, even from the dried bitter leaves of Sukuta, and from Kashandi, a sour condiment. Because of her natural love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Damayanti considered the Lord an ordinary human being. Therefore she thought that he would become sick by overeating, and there would be mucus within his abdomen. Because of sincere affection, she thought that eating this sukuta would cure the Lord's disease. Considering these affectionate thoughts of Damayanti, the Lord was very pleased. A dear lover strung a garland and placed it on the shoulder of his beloved in the presence of her co-wives. She had raised breast and was very beautiful, yet although the garland was tainted with mud, she did not reject it, for its value lay not in material things, but in love. Damayanti powdered coriander and anise seeds, cooked them with sugar and made them into sweetmeats in the shape of small balls. She made sweetmeats balls with dried ginger to remove mucus caused by too much bile. She put all these preparations separately into small cloth bags. She made 100 varieties of condiments and pickles. She also made koli kusunti, koli churna, koli kanda, and many other preparations. How many should I name? She made many sweetmeats in the shape of balls. Some were made with powdered coconut, and others looked as white as the water of the Ganges. In this way, she made many varieties of long-lasting sugar confections. She made long-lasting cheese, many varieties of sweetmeats with milk and cream, and many other varied preparations such as Amrita Karpura. She made flat rice from fine, unboiled sali paddy and filled a large bag made of new cloth. She made some of the flat rice into puffed rice, fried it in ghee, cooked it in sugar juice, mixed in some camphor, and rolled it into balls. She powdered fried grains of fine rice, moistened the powder with ghee, and cooked it in a solution of sugar. Then she added camphor, black pepper, cloves, cardamom, and other spices, and rolled the mixture into balls that were very palatable and aromatic. She took parched rice from fine paddy, fried it into ghee, cooked it in a sugar solution, mixed in some camphor, and thus made a preparation called ugda or mudki. Another variety of sweet was made with fused peas that were powdered, fried in ghee, and then cooked in sugar juice. Camphor was added, and then the mixture was rolled into balls. I could not mention the names of all these wonderful eatables, even in a lifetime. Damayanti made hundreds and thousands of varieties. Damayanti made all these preparations following the order of her brother, Raghava Pandit. Both of them had unlimited affection for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and were advanced in devotional service. Damayanti took earth from the Ganges, dried it, powdered it, strained it through a fine cloth, mixed in aromatic ingredients, and rolled it into small balls. The condiments and similar items were put into thin earthen pots, and everything else was put into small cloth bags. From small bags, Damayanti made bags that were twice as large. Then, with great attention, she filled all the large ones with the small ones. She then wrapped and sealed each and every bag with great attention. The bags were carried by 3 bearers, one after the other. Thus I have briefly described the bags that have become famous as Raghavera Jali. The superintendent for all those bags was Makara Dvaja Kara, who kept them with great attention like his very life. Thus all the Vaishnavas from Bengal went to Jagannath Puri. By chance they arrived on the day when Lord Jagannath performs pastimes in the water. Boarding a boat in the water of Narendra, boarding a boat in the water of Narendra Sarovara, Lord Govinda performed his water pastimes with all the devotees. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived with his personal associates to see the jubilant pastimes of Lord Jagannath in Narendra Sarovara. At the same time, all the devotees from Bengal arrived at the lake and had a great meeting with the Lord. All the devotees immediately fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord lifted and embraced every one of them. The Gaudiya Sampradaya, consisting of all the devotees from Bengal, began congregational chanting. When they met the Lord, they began to cry loudly in ecstatic love. Because of the pastimes in the water, there was great jubilation on the shore, with music, singing, chanting, and dancing, creating a tumultuous sound. Indeed, the chanting and crying of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas mixed and created a tumultuous sound vibration that filled the entire universe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the water with his devotees and began his pastimes with them in great jubilation. In his Chaitanya Mangal, now known as Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur has given a detailed description of the activities the Lord performed in the water. There is no use in again describing here the activities of the Lord. It would simply be repetitions and would increase the size of this book. After concluding his pastimes in the water, Lord Govinda returned to his residence. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the temple, taking all his devotees with him. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence after visiting the temple of Jagannath, he asked for a large quantity of Lord Jagannath's prasadam, which he then distributed among his devotees so that they could eat sumptuously. After talking with all the devotees for some time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them to occupy the individual residences in which they had lived the previous year. Raghava Pandit delivered the bags of eatables to Govinda, who kept them in a corner of the dining room. Govinda thoroughly emptied the bags from the previous year and kept them in another room to fill them with other goods. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went with his personal devotees to see Lord Jagannath, when Lord Jagannath arose early in the morning. After seeing Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his all-encompassing Sankirtan. He formed 7 groups, which then began to chant. In each of the 7 groups was a principal dancer, such as Advaita Acharya or Lord Nityananda. The dancers in the other groups were Fragreshvara Pandit, Achyutananda Pandit, Srivas, Satyaraja Kam, and Narahari Das. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked from one group to another, inspecting them, the men in each group thought, "The Lord is within our group." The congregational chanting made a tumultuous roar that filled the sky. all the inhabitants of Jagannath Puri came to see the kirtan. Accompanied by his personal staff, the king also came there and watched from a distance. And all the queens watched from the elevated parts of the palace. Due to the forceful vibrations of kirtan, the entire world began trembling. When everyone chanted the holy name, they made a tumultuous sound. In this way, the Lord had congregational chanting performed for some time, and then he himself desired to dance. The 7 groups began chanting and beating their drums in 7 directions, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began dancing in the center in great ecstatic love. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remembered a line in the Orisian language and ordered Swarup Damodar to sing it. Let my head fall at the feet of Jagannath in the kirtan hall known as Jagamohan. Simply because of this line, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in greatly ecstatic love. People all around him floated in the water of his tears. Raising his 2 arms, the Lord said, "Chant, chant!" Floating in transcendental bliss, the people responded by chanting the holy name of Hari. The Lord fell to the ground unconscious, not even breathing. Then suddenly he stood up, making a loud sound. The hairs on his body constantly stood up like the thorns on a simula tree. Sometimes his body was swollen and sometimes lean and thin. He bled and perspired from every pore of his body. His voice faltered. Unable to say the line properly, he uttered only Jaya Kaka Pari Mumu. All his teeth shook as if each was separate from the others. Indeed, they seemed about to fall to the ground. His transcendental bliss increased at every moment. Therefore, even by mid-afternoon, the dancing had not ended. The ocean of transcendental bliss overflowed, and everyone present forgot his body, mind, and home. Then Lord Nityananda found a way to end the kirtan. He gradually stopped all the chanters. Thus only one group continued chanting with Swarup Damodar, and they chanted very softly. When there was no longer a tumultuous sound, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to external consciousness. Then Nityananda Prabhu informed him of the fatigue of the chanters and dancers. Understanding the fatigue of the devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped the congregational chanting. Then he bathed in the sea, accompanied by them all. I stop here. And we read further tomorrow. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Anja Lila chapter 10. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts prasadam from his devotees. Ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev. Hare Yadaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana Giridhari Gopinath Namaha Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Radha Sivachari Dora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Rupa Sanatana Gala Guna Harinam Sankirtanam Karinam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Nita Gura Haribo, Haribo, Nita Gura Haribo, Nita Gura Haribo, 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 Nita Gura Haribo, 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 Nita Gura Haribo, 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 Nita Gura Haribo. Jaya Subhadra Sisi Guru Kuranga Radha Giridhar Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Sila Bhakti Nirmala Jaya Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Sri Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Sila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Sila Bhakti Rakak Sri Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Sila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Rupa Nuka Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Sapashada Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Sapashada Sri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Purna Kiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Ganga Yamuna Chu Ki Jai. Grantha Rachima Bhagavatam Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Sri Navadvitam Ki Jai. Sri Mayapudam Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Sri Purushottamadam Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadraju Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat West London Chapter Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat East London Chapter Ki Jai. Samadvaita Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande